No, 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 you don't. You don't. You don't. Hello there, ladies, gentlemen, and unicorns. I'm sorry about that. I'm having a new intern. And yeah, not quite acclimatized to how things are going here. Good evening, and thank you so much for inviting me to your browser, tab, or device of choice. I hope you can see me, I hope you can hear me, and I hope we're having not some kind of audio sync problems today. But you never know with me, I'm Mr. Technical Difficulties. But hey, at least I managed to go live this time for real. So I said unicorn, you know the drill. Whenever I say unicorn, have a sip of water to stay hydrated because that is healthy. Let's have a look in the chat, and yes, video and audio okay. Thanks, Nick. Thanks for confirming. Well, she wanted to make sure that you hit the live button this time. Good, unicorn. Yes, apparently I did. And yeah, as soon as you step out for just 1 minute, the unicorn starts streaming. So I guess we all have this problem at some point. Okay, so what's the program for today? As you can see, there's a little hint. It is that I'm having my Wacom stylus in one of my hands. And maybe it's also clear from the description. I thought because I can't do something unspoilery with the Ludum Dare 45 documentary, that I start something that I wanted to do a long time ago, that is just designing some merchandising. Here's just this is big. Just some of the ideas that I had. You probably can't see anything, but I think we're going to start with something like this. That's the sticker that says, I hate the theme, and this little jam jar that just reads finest game jam, because I always thought that this is some kind would be funny for people who don't know what a game jam is, because it sounds rather disgusting. A game jam, it's like you put a deer into a jam jar. It's kind of disgusting, but I thought why not. Yes, video froze for a few seconds. Wonderful. Let me check the stream health. Well, YouTube keeps saying that my stream health is excellent, but apparently you never know with YouTube. But at least I made sure this time that my Dropbox is not syncing gigabytes of files while I'm trying to stream. Okay, so yes, the plan for today is just showing you a little bit of the post-mortem, the current state of things. Then what we did last time, that was 2 weeks ago, then doing some merch designing in Photoshop and Illustrator. So just to show you my workflow, because some of you might know that I like to do some weird little geeky designs for my shop over at Redbubble. And yeah, this is just how when I try to unwind a little and don't do anything that has to do with making videos or making games, I just be otherwise creative. So this is what we're going to do. And if there's still time at the end, why not play a game, chill, just chat a little bit, and I talk about how horrible my week went. Because this was the reason, for those who don't know, why I had to skip last week the stream, because I was taxing myself a little bit too much and was feeling that I'm getting close to some little burnout again, because I'm always teetering there on the edge of, am I doing too much, or am I having just going with my bad conscience and think, yeah, people are really waiting for this, I need to do things. So yeah, that's the plan for today. So if that's not something you're interested in, which fair enough, just doing stuff in Photoshop and Illustrator, have a nice evening, and thanks still for checking me out. For anyone else who's still left, let me open quickly, just change the camera angle to this wonderful thing here. And yeah, this is Premiere, and this is the entire edit of the Ludum Dare 45 post-mortem. Might shut off your torrents as well. Yeah, I think I've never downloaded a torrent. This was after my time. You know, I'm such old that I started with Napster, and I think this was the last program that I ever used until that infamous infamous. I think it's infamous, that infamous lawsuit. Okay, so about the Ludum Dare 45 documentary, you can see it looks like it's pretty much done, right? So I have here my videos things, and this track here is the voiceover, and on the lower two audio tracks there, I'm having my music stuff. You can see there are some parts that are pink or fuchsia red, that are on top of this. Those are stand-ins, which I haven't filmed yet. I haven't even written entirely yet. It's just some throwaway funny bits. I have a clear idea of what I want to do and have already ordered the 1 or 2 props that I need for this. So my estimates are that this won't be done before Christmas, because because everyone is ordering their presents now, and the postal system is just completely overtaxed with anyone. Yeah, that's who ordered priority stuff, and I'm sitting here just waiting for my props that I won't be needing that urgently. So yeah, you can see here I'm trying to keep here stand-up intro. Yeah, I'm trying to keep here the spoilers pretty low, but you can see here there already is a lot of stuff done, and it's pretty final-ish in a sense. But of course, we all know me, polishing is still lacking. So last time when we were streaming, we made this little animation. Let me see if I can find it. Unity cobwebs. There we go. Let me just make this here a little bit bigger. So the point was where I say in the script, I'm just dusting off the cobwebs of the Unity icon. And last time we made this animation here, and I just polished it a little bit more. As you can see now, there is this selection box surrounding the Unity icon, and the cleaner icon as soon as your mouse hovers over it, because this is how I would expect things to do in Windows. And as you can see here, now when I'm brushing over the icon, it's where I'm moving the brush, I'm unveiling just having it peek through the untainted Unity icon. And yeah, just added some sound effects like just like this. So yeah, you know me, polishing is my pastime, I meant to say, but it's a little bit too stressful to be a pastime. But either way, I can't live without me polishing, so this is how I roll. So yeah, what's still needs to be done on this overall? Essentially, like I said, those little bits there that are in red. Some music, for example, this music track here is in yellow. If I click it, which means it's somewhat standish in. It's an old track that I made, but of course I have to do it again to get the timing right and things like that. And there's overall just a little bit of background music missing, and I'm always having a hard time with background music because I want to retain all the rights of my videos, which means I have to also make the music myself, because you know me, I do everything myself. And yeah, I will still need to do a little bit of music, but it's not something that's being overly present, so it doesn't have to be polished as much if I can avoid it. Let's have a look at the chat, because I can see something going on here. I can't wait to see that amazing editing, music writing. Oh, thank you so much. Video keeps freezing. Oh dear. Oh dear. I think why it keeps freezing is probably because Premiere is using a lot of GPU, and I'm encoding via GPU, so this might be it. I had it freeze for me 3 times last time a few minutes ago. Okay, so let me know if how many people are having this issue, because if it's just 1 or 2, then it might be on your end. If it's everyone, then certainly, of course, it's on my end. So just that we're all on the same page. Also recall or remember the point where it starts freezing. For example, when I'm zooming in or when I'm scrubbing on the timeline or something like this, because this could mean it's my graphics card. So apologies for any freeze ups on your end. Right. What else do I need to do? Yeah, a little bit of music. Then, of course, there's the whole color grading stage, which will happen right at the end to, yeah, just give it some more polish and stuff like that. I also used some archival footage, as you've seen just before. So I want to clean up those old black and white silent films. Why silent films? Because they're in public domain. And once you get them from archive.org and it says public domain, you're usually pretty good, so this is why I'm using some of those clips. And yeah, I'm missing 2 animations, but I can't do them on stream because they are pretty spoilery and would, yeah, pretty much give the point away of the whole of the whole thing. But from what I can see now, and yeah, and of course the credits. Credits are missing as always because credits, I really hate doing credits because when I'm researching, I don't keep track of everything. And then I have to find where I got this image from, or what's this movie, or when this game was released. And since I want to stick it all, have a very comprehensive and, yeah, very searchable credits, I do this at the very last bit because sometimes things changes when I do a last minute switch of some images or a sound effect which I don't have the entire rights to. So yeah, this is why I'm saving this for last. Phil Polish now. Oh yes, Lady Mistleaf, as if I remember correctly, some of you are partaking in this very straining game jam that's happening right now. So if you're due and watching this, thank you so much, but please don't waste time watching me stumble over my words and doing some silly merchandise. So it's very much appreciated, but really I don't want to keep you from finishing a game, especially when it involves polishing. Okay, yeah, so essentially Ludum Dare 45 is kinda complete now. Like I said, just missing those big 4 blocks, which means I have to set up camera, and it will involve other people as well. And so, yeah, it's a little bit of setup that needs to be done. But if everything is working out as intended, it should release, don't nail me to this, but it should release at the end of January 2020, I think. So this is something that we can look forward to, because I think 2019 was the first year where I was working a lot on my post-mortems, but finished a single one. And this is why I really went all in with this edit, that I really tried to have it done by 2019, but yeah, it didn't work out. So yeah, now you know. Let's switch over to making some merchandise, just some funny drawings, and see how things go from there. Okay, so I hope the stream is doing fine for everyone else. No more freeze-ups. What about the other Ludum Dares? Yeah, I have so many in production, but with Ludum Dare 42, which is the biggest one, and I just went through my notes here, and those stacks there, those are various drafts and storyboards, and yeah, the script for Ludum Dare 42, because I went a little overboard with that. So yeah, it's now in production for 14 months now, I think, and this is by far the largest project that I ever did and still intend to finish. So it's getting closer to completion, so whenever I have some time that I can work on some details regarding the 42 postmortem, then I do. But because I knew that it's still a lot of time until this is done, I wanted to give you all something in the meantime, and this would be the Ludum Dare 45 documentary of my latest Ludum Dare. And as always, I thought I had things figured out for me, how to produce stuff, so that I thought, yeah, I can just plow through, because after years of doing this, I already know how to shoot stuff, what to shoot, what pickups I need, how to write stuff. And what I learned is that I've learned nothing. It was still hard. I was still missing coverage on some parts. So I really had to be very creative on how to edit things, because when in the voiceover I'm talking for 30 seconds or even almost a minute about a point to which I don't have any images, because it's either abstract or happened later and I had to restructure it a bit. You really need to be creative on how to keep your audience engaged without sounding like it's just a lecture or just a presentation with an occasional slide change on the PowerPoint. Okay, don't worry about our game jam. It's a week long and I had a bit of a block. Getting some distraction might give me ideas. Oh, okay, so I hope this will be inspiring then. And let's head straight to Photoshop, where there is something. All right, yeah, this was still where I was trying out to get the pressure on my tablet working, which apparently it didn't. So I will start Photoshop anew. And please let me know if there are any freeze-ups, because then it's my graphics card and I'm terribly sorry. Okay, so where do I have my my sketches? Yes, so I think I will ask you with what thing to start with. Let me just quickly make sure that the pressure is now working on the tablet there. Doesn't look like it. So yeah, that sucks on one hand, but on the other hand, it's cool. I don't think this will be very expressive. I will just draw lines because I'm not that good at drawing lines. But the good thing is with Photoshop, the best invention for people like myself who aren't that good at drawing, Control Z, or in German keyboards it's Control Y. Now, at least after, I think it took them 20 years, Adobe, to realize that on German keyboards the default of Control Z is, because on German keyboard layouts the Z and the Y keys are switched, so it's always a little bit hard on your hands. So they changed it with Photoshop 2019, so way to go. Okay, what tablet do you have? I have a Intuos Pro, and don't get any issues. I'm having the Intuos 4. And it's my most favorite that I've ever had. I've checked out the new, I think Intuos 5 or whatever, or even Cintiqs. Cintiqs are impossible to afford because it's like you're drawing essentially on a screen, which would be lovely, but still, yeah, I'm fine with that for my purposes. But yeah, sometimes I'm having problems, especially when Photoshop updates, which it did there. So let me make sure that I'm having pressure even like this activated, because otherwise I'm complaining and then it's I haven't turned it on. So let me just make sure that I'm not complaining over something that is not an issue. Where is the brushes panel? New tool preset. Oh, there on my other screen, because I have 3 screens and still lose my way. Probably because of it, but yeah. With 3 screens, and when I'm streaming and having stuff open. Okay, look at this. Is this working? Just no, this doesn't look to be like it's working. Okay, but there is one workaround. I think it has to do with Windows Ink. So let's just open up Control. Let's have a look at the chat. Just do some relaxed designing then, without pressure. Yes, exactly. I'm pressuring myself too much, as I'm doing with my pen. So pen pressure. So, okay, at least it registers here in the driver, which is helpful. So I think the only thing that I need to do now is tell Photoshop that it also needs to not use Windows Ink. And there was a workaround. And so that you can follow along there, I'll zoom in. So I think, of course, when I'm zoomed in, my mouse doesn't register in the right spot because I'm using this program that's called Glass Brick. It's this one here, which is wonderful that you can just control and mouse wheel to zoom in, just like on a Mac, which is lovely. But of course, I'm using a different DPI on my centered screen, and this throws every program off. So yeah, Adobe Photoshop plugins 19. So somewhere in Adobe Photoshop you had there your user configuration, and it was just a text file in which you essentially specified there, please don't use Windows Ink. But I can't find it right now, so let's just Windows Ink disable. I'm googling on my other screen now. Wacom. No, Photoshop user config. It was just a simple text file, and you just have to copy it there into your Photoshop folder, and that's That's fine. So just let me find it. Oh yes, there we go. Okay, it's ID Photoshop preferences. So Photoshop, where are the preferences? They're in the Photoshop resources configuration, I think. No. But yeah, let's just create a new text file. There we go. And sorry, wrong shortcut. So it's just use system stylus 0 and transform proportional scale 0. Usually I would damn it, scale. I would copy paste this, but they posted a screenshot there, and I can't do this. So, but at least just where to put it. Your user ID app data roaming. Oh, of course. So there it goes. So it's not, of course. Yes, we want to save this and save it under psuserconfig.txt. Yes, this is a little bit of a workaround. So it's users fill app data. Where is app data? Roaming. Why does this need to be buried such deep? I never understand this. Why and what for? But okay, I think, oh god, look at this. I think I even got it there under presets, perhaps? No. Where does it go? Settings. PS user config, and there's already something like this, yeah. Your system stylus. Okay, so pretty much, essentially, I already had done this for Adobe Photoshop 2019. So, yeah, settings, PS user config, move with Explorer. And we should be set. I'm sorry for the delay, but yeah, I've been having stylus problems, especially with different kinds of DPI settings for different monitors ever since I got a new monitor. So okay, let's try this again, and if it's not working, then it's not working. So apparently it's not working. I will try a different brush then. Phil's drawing brush. This is my Overwatch brush, but apparently it's not working. Apparently it's not working. Terribly sorry, but let's just do some work without pressure. Anything new in the chat? No. Okay. So which one shall I do? Again, I give you here the options. This is just the Pixel Prophecy logo that reads supporter of unicorns. Maybe we can come up with something more interesting. Then, of course, a grungy sticker that just reads I hate the theme. And maybe this one jam jar that reads fine as the game jam. Because that would be something that I would definitely stick on my on my notebook. Just do some relaxed, okay, designing then. You know what, while I'm waiting for any kinds of replies, I will set up there my workspace. And what is a good size? I usually start there with, yeah, let's start with international paper, A4, and just use 30 centimeters by 30 centimeters at 600 dpi, and I think I can afford 16-bit precision, because sometimes when you're doing blending of colors, 16 bits is nicer to work with, because you don't have any kind of banding effects or artifacts there. Jam jar, Pixel Prophecy logo. I like the logo, but they all sound good. Okay, we can start with the logo, which should be pretty fast, I think, because of course I already have the logo as vectors, and then we can do the jam jar. Okay, so I think in Photoshop I'm just doing the draft and try out different layouts and where the font goes, and then we can just hone in and narrow down on a design. So just switch. Let me switch here my palettes around, because this is now I'm moving now this stream. What's it called? The streaming studio. Thank you, YouTube, because it would be obfuscated by all my palettes that I've opened here. Just to show you, Those are the palettes that I have on my other screen there, so pretty much everything is at my fingertips, and this is very beneficial if you have multiple monitors. The first time that I realized that I can pull out my palettes from the main screen and put it to the other, mind blown. Okay, so let's do some very quick and dirty sketching. So, oh my god, this is slow. Why is this so slow? Probably because it's 16-bit and we're here at 7,000 by 7,000 pixels. You know what? Just since we're just doing 2014, not 24, 2020. I will scale this down here just that it's. No, it's for some reason this is very unresponsive. Very unresponsive. I will try a different brush now. maybe it has to do with that. So there are my drawing brushes. I don't have a lot of brushes. Some people keep collecting brush package over brush package, and I've heard of some people who have like thousands of brushes. And I don't like having so many brushes because when you want to get things right, you're spending more time selecting the right brush than you do with drawing. So I got here just some default brushes. As you can see, they're pretty much default Photoshop brushes. And then I got here some drawing brushes. I really like this Overwatch brush because this is apparently what Blizzard uses for all their artworks on Overwatch. It's just this one brush shape, and there once was this GDC presentation, and they just showed the brush shape there, and I took a screenshot, and now I have the original Blizzard Overwatch brush, but I have no idea how to use it, and this is why I hardly use it. Of course, then I got pencils. Then I got some pastels, which is sometimes I use this for shading. And of course I got my scatters, which I call salt, which is very handy if you just want to have some grunge in some corners or so. Then, sorry for the erratic mouse movement. Then I got some flares and stars, usually helpful when you do some star fields. That way I can just pick a brush and bam, do some strokes and I already have a star field. And I even got 16-bit brushes, usually just if you want to have some kind of, when you use a background and you want to simulate some out of focus points of light, some bokeh circles. This is why I use those 16-bit brushes. And of course I got wonderful shape effects like scattered hearts and scattered polygon shapes. I think I used this only once. So the bottom line is most of those brushes I use only once, and my rule of thumb is when I'm working on a project, for example, my the only published game, serious published game that I have, Finesweeper, I had this also very hand-drawn art style, and I limited myself to, I think it was 2 or 3 or 2 brushes, and everything else was done with those brushes. So everything looked the same in terms of, yeah, everything looked coherent, not the same, obviously. But this would be my rule of thumb. Just limit yourself to 2 or 3 brushes per project, whatever this may be. Okay, so something new on the chat here, I think. It almost sounds like you don't like... Yeah, almost. I was wondering why the brush was named after a game. Yeah, this is the reason. So this is the Overwatch brush, and it looks nice. It's a nice. Okay, I will start here anew and use a resolution of 300 dpi and not 16 bits per pixels and grayscale. Well, let's do RGB color and hope. It's still not responsive. I'm sorry. I hope I can draw like this, but maybe it's the brush. Maybe it's the brush. I will switch here over to Phil's Pencil 2019. And yeah, apparently it was the Overwatch brush. This one looks much nicer. Okay, so yeah, let's do some, finally get start working. Okay, so my idea would be, let's, you know what, let's stroke here a perfect circle with 5, let's make it 10. Yeah, this is a nice circle, because circles, when you're trying to draw circles, I don't bother, because with my circles they almost look like eggs, are not closed, or their ends just keep overlapping and I hardly meet them. So probably what I need to do is practice. So but for now this should be fine. Okay, so I make my brush a little bit smaller, I think, and give it an opacity of like 50%, so I can build up strokes should I need to. Okay, maybe I need to make my eraser a little bit bigger like this. Okay, so what is my intention with my Pixel Prophecy logo there? This would be, of course, a supporter logo, a supporter of unicorns. So for one thing, oh my god, I have no idea how to draw my logo because it's been ages since I did it, and I've just used their my I think this is what it looks like. I used just what I had drawn years ago, but I think this is roughly what it looks like. So, and I think should we pick some as inspiration, maybe the Nintendo seal of quality, which, well, it looks a little bit bored, to be honest, or not bored, boring, but maybe the seal itself is bored because it was just slapped on every old crappy game. But hey, it was the Nintendo seal of quality. So yeah, I think we could also maybe give it some appeal of that it maybe it was embossed by something like if you send a letter in the good old Middle Ages, you have this, I don't know what's it called, this seal wax where you just emboss your seal into it. This would be maybe funny, but it doesn't really have to do anything with making games and computing and stuff. So I want to make it not coherent. What's the right word? Yeah, I want to make it that it makes some kind of nerdy sense in a way. Thinking about making nerdy sense and giving it some kind of retro touch would be maybe making it with ASCII art. This would be fun, or giving it the good old EGA color scheme, which is, let me just show you my swatches. For some reason, those are my default swatches, are just the EGA color palette, and there's even the CGA there, and just some. Oh, of course, those are the Pixel Prophecy logo colors. Yeah. Interestingly, I've never really thought about the colors, but one of my friends once said they look really drab and really lack any kind of pizzazz, and this is true because when I first did the Pixel Prophecy logo, I just wanted to give it some kind of Game Boy-ish appeal, and this is why I settled for this gray-greenish color scheme. Anyway, medieval style wax seal made in pixelated style. Oh, this would be interesting. This could work. So it's let me gather some references. Where's my Firefox? Where's my trusted little fox? There we go. So I'm just Googling for references because I'm not wasting my time trying to come up with something completely myself, because with the references everything is just faster. So let's just Google seal and see if we find the musician, the animal, or yeah, baby seal. Okay, so this doesn't. Yeah, even here. Even what Google suggests is not what we're working. Seal stamp, I think. Yeah, this is what we're looking at. So this looks nice. This looks workable. So I think something like this could work for starters. I mean, this is a vector stock image already, so. And it costs a whopping 70 cents, but where is the fun in just buying something when you could do it your own? And I probably won't need it as a vector, since we're going to pixel it, I think. If that's cool with you hip people out there. So yeah, I will just import. Yeah, this is empty. I know that it is hidden. Thank you, Photoshop. So I just made 3 more layers, just that Photoshop won't complain. Okay, so I'm just making here the quick layout, and I will import, where is it? Place embedded. I will find my logo so that I can see how small I can make it, that it's still legible as a pixel art thing. First time catching you live, so excited. Oh, hi Kenneth, thank you so much for dropping by, and sorry for wasting your Sunday. So where is my stuff? There, it must be under design and logo, and 2017 was the last time I overhauled the logo. So I think, which one shall we pick? This one here. Yes. This is the Pixel Prophecy logo. Wonderful. Okay, and where is my reference there? View image. I will just copy this image and throw it underneath. So just that we get some kind of collage ready, or yeah, just a very, very simple mock-up. What are you complaining about, Photoshop? I know, it's me, it's never you, it's always me. So I'm noticing a problem here. It has to be quite big because of the horn of the unicorn. Yeah, this looks a little bit stupid actually, because it has to be such a big blob of red that the horn fits in. Maybe if I make it a little bit smaller like this and have the horn just peek through, this would be funny. I don't think this is working, to be frank. I don't think this is working. But you can convince me otherwise. Let's see what the chat says. Although I'm not convinced such seals are era correct for the Middle Ages. I know they've been used until fairly recently and still are in some place. Yes, I even have one of those seal wax candles. It's a very, yeah, it looks like paint because it's all glossy. And I think I have it, my grandfather gave it to me, even with my initials on a stamp. And this was when I was a teenager, and I was just sending mail to everyone just so that I could stamp it. And the postal service was absolutely not amused. And some of those seals, because they are very brittle, they just kept falling off, and the letter was there, and yeah. But it's still fun toying around with, yeah, essentially when you're dealing with the digital all day, also in my case where I'm doing color grading and everything is on a computer screen, sometimes it's really fun getting your hands dirty on some kind of, be it typography or, yeah, just anything that's related to doing some nice crafts work on your table. I don't know, but I like it. Well, the horn can stick out, maybe, yes. You know what, why not? Let's give it a try. And just to make sure that it's very legible, I just pump up here the brightness. And you know what, I will duplicate this now and put it in as my reference there. Put it in a separate window. Like this, and then I think I will try and work on a pixelated version of this. If you do a pixel art, there are multiple editors out there. Some people trust only Ace Sprite, I think. What's it called? Let me just check. Yes, Ace Sprite. I haven't updated it in a while and I really tried to use it, and it's a gorgeous, wonderful program for doing good old style pixel art, even with palette swaps and animation. But for me, the Photoshop way of doing things is so ingrained with me that I'm always faster doing stuff in Photoshop. But really, I don't think Ace Sprite is very expensive. I think it was once donation supported. I don't know. I think I paid for it like $15, $10, 15, something around this value. And yeah, on one point I regret it because I never use it. On the other point, maybe one day I will start diving in for real. Other people use Paint Shop Pro, and I've heard there are some plugins where you can do really gorgeous pixel art very easily. But for me, it's, yeah, I've been using Photoshop for 20 years now, and yeah, I can't really get rid of it. I'm pretty much locked myself into the whole Adobe ecosphere, and they know it and they charge for it. In Inkscape, you can pixelate vector images. You probably need to refine it, but it might save you a little bit of time. Yeah, when I'm starting from something like a vector image or even a photo, my starting point is really just scaling it down and then drawing over it, because then I have, my biggest problem with drawing in general is getting the proportions right, where something is. And my solution to that is, let's scale this down to 128 pixels. You know what, maybe this is even too big. Let's see if I can do with 64 pixels. Yes, now it's wonderful. It's tiny, but I think this is enough. And I will use this here as my template. And I will just draw over it. And let me get my brush there. And the only brush that I will use now is not this one. No, that's the wrong brush. Is what Photoshop calls a pencil brush. That is just it's just pixel. It's just pixel perfect. So, and this is how I do things. I draw over it. Maybe I should have picked up different red. Just roughly, I'm just for the seal itself, it's okay if things are just rough, but for the logo, of course, it needs to be as close as possible, and this is where we'll be doing a lot of pixel pushing in the following minutes. That is just seeing where a pixel lands and then having a look at it at 100 or 200% and then going back and forth until it just sits right. Okay, so I make also a new, where is it? There it is. A new window for the pixelated version, which now ended up in this one here. Ah, Photoshop, seriously. Okay, so this is the reference of the high resolution, and apparently I made a copy of this one and not of the one that I was in. Yeah, very, way to go, Phil. Workspace, no, arrange. It was workspace, right? No, it was not workspace. It was view. No. I just forgot how to open a new window. Window, there it must be. Yes, new window for thing that was not named. There we go. Okay, finally. So I pull this off now and zoom in and put this there on the side that I always can check how it looks like at 200% or something. I make it a little bit bigger here for the stream so that you can also see how it looks like. I hope. And let's have a look at the chat. Or maybe you can just export a raster image. I mean, yeah, I think from my dependence on Adobe, you can also do this, of course, with Illustrator. But Inkscape, I really like how lightweight Inkscape is. I think that seal isn't red enough to be realistic, but it's been a while since I've seen a real one. Yeah, I also don't think it's realistic, but for now, I mean, we can always change the colors. But for starters, I think this is good. And let's have a look at how it how it looks right now. And it looks like a squashed apple. And I'm not talking about the computer, but I'm talking about the fruit. I'm not quite happy with how this looks, but I think we can work on the edges some more when things are looking nice on the inside. Okay, so I think I will need also again this circle here, just as a reference that I know my playing field in a sense. And for this, I just stroke the circle there in a different color, in a different shade of red on top. Not Phil. Stroke. Phil is wrong. Pun intended. On the inside. And this was an anti-alias circle, which of course doesn't work well with Pixelart. So let's do this again here without anti-aliasing. Stroke. There we go. Okay, so pretty much anything inside the region of this circle here should be fine. And then I can see how I change here the outline. Maybe I make it a little bit rounder or give it a bit of more splotchy feeling. Because where is now my what I googled before? There it is. There is the stamp. Yeah, maybe that it's a little bit more melted or less melted. Yeah, you can see here there are a number of different varieties of this. Maybe I just keep it perfectly round. Who knows? For now, just I won't be bothered, because the biggest problem that I'll be having now is, oh dear, pixeling my logo, that it's recognizable even at this size. I think the hardest part is figuring out what is the right size of your canvas when doing pixel art. I mean, when you're working with games, you're usually constrained by what the sprite has to be, what the dimensions, what the dimensions are. But when you're just working on an artwork, it's really hard. Of course, you don't want it to be big or too big, because then of course you have to do too many pixels and it takes you ages. But of course, if it's too small, and you can't really scale it up. This is what I'm saying. So you pretty much have to do it or redo it from scratch at each size. And this is why I think 64 pixels has enough details that it's still recognizable as the Pixel Prophecy logo. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm still picking a different shade of red, because right now this won't be the final color of the logo, I think, because again I wanted that it looks like it was embossed there, or maybe give it a little kind of gold texture or reflection. But yeah, we will see there when we get there. For right now I'm just trying to trace it pixel perfectly. So this is the ear, and oh dear, we're already yeah, with half pixels and sub-pixels, sometimes you really have to exaggerate things that they still read correctly. But of course, when you can't just scale down, of course, a pixel artwork and then, yeah, roughen up the edges in a sense and then think, hey, you got perfect pixel art. I think we've all went there, that this doesn't work as you would think. So if we look at this, the outline roughly matches, but yeah, still a lot of work to do, I think. But for now, what I also want to do is have this shading, or retain the shading as well. So since layers don't cost you anything, I just keep piling on layers and then reducing them whenever I need to, but not before I need to, really. Okay, so let's have a look at my logo again here. So, okay, so the back of the ear here is white. Then, of course, we got here some kind of skull and the brow and the jawline. And I think I can do this, but of course, those ridges there on the horn, I think they won't work at this size. Okay, so just drawing there on top here, trying to retain as much as I can. The jawline is going to be interesting, as well as here is the nostril. And whatever this part of the snout is called, I don't think it's a snout when it's a horse, but then again, unicorns, are they horses? They aren't real, but then again, they're based on horses, so who knows? Very punny. Oh, thank you. Good night, Lady Mistleaf. Thanks for dropping by. Okay, so I think for starters, apparently I just got an email that I went live, so thank you for that. Yeah, I've used almost the same colors, so just change the color here that we have some differentiation between the colors, and it's bearable. It's bearable. But then, of course, is the question with pixel art, how many colors will you settle at? Some people like to do very painterly drawings in a sense and use lots of colors, especially some kind of impressionist landscape stuff. But I always pride myself in with how little colors I can make something work, even if I have to do some dithering. And yeah, I'm the one who dithers individual pixels. I can do this for hours, that it just reads perfect. What, they aren't real? I've heard so, they aren't real. But my intern keeps insisting they are real and I should pay her more because she's a real unicorn. So yeah, science is not quite there yet, so I just shut up and pay my unicorn. I don't know what this means. Okay, so I like how this is looking, but now, as you've noticed, I was still not bothered doing any kind of anti-aliasing there or really trying to make the edges work. But this was wrong. Okay, so this was the eraser, which was still from before my big brush eraser. So I just switched it over to a block eraser that I can, erase individual pixels. Okay, so overall, this wasn't too bad actually. I'm a little bit surprised at how well this works. But of course, I didn't do any kind of anti-aliasing there. So right now it's just a couple of colors. But like I said, I wanted to have this kind of embossed feeling there. So this is, I think, where things will get tricky. And before starting with this embossing, I need to lay down the colors for my palette, for which colors I want for the lit part and the shaded part. And I will use this red here as my baseline and just draw some pixels there just to get my palette right. So, or palette. So yeah, I just go brighter in this direction and darker in the other direction. And then see how many shades in between I would need. So maybe I need something that's between the red on top. I will zoom in a little bit for you. Between this red here and the red on below. And for example, with Sprite, I think you have wonderful tools for blending your, oh, sorry, man, this, I shouldn't use my stylus because the screen just keeps freaking out. In Sprite, I think that it's possible to have wonderfully simple tasks or features where you can just say, this is my starting color, this is my ending color, make me 3 shades in between. And this is, yeah, this is why I'm constrained with Photoshop. So my way of doing things is I click here and click there. And when I'm doing this, I can see, yeah, the color in between lies here. And this is how I get my shades that lie in between there. So yeah, I think this is good. Then of course maybe here it's a little bit too strong here. Maybe we need also a shade that's in between. It's here. And then maybe we need a highlight color. And as we've seen here, the highlight is pretty sharp. It's almost white because this is from my background as visual effects artist. When you're doing rendering, the highlights of anything that is not conductive is white, or essentially the color the light is in. For example, plastic, when you shine blue light on black plastic, as you can see here on my microphone there. Oh dear. I hope you can. You can see there, it's always, the highlight is always the color of the light. And this never changes. I'm really sorry if I bumped the microphone now unwarrantedly. But for example, if you have something that's conductive or metal in a sense, the highlight color is different from the color of the light. And this is the trick of getting gold real cool and shiny, is that the specular color of gold is yellow and the base color is, I think, of an orange brown. Man, this light really won't sit there. Okay, now it does. Yeah, this just as an aside. So okay, so this is my highlight color. So it's almost white. I hope you can see it. So this will be my palette for this thing right now, and then we can see if we can even reduce the colors down. Okay, so where is the light coming from? This is the next question, and the simple answer is, for my for what I've been used to, it's always coming from the upper left. So it's like as if there's a light shining down from here. So this is what I'm used to when I started doing shading and stuff. So this is it's always simple for me to remember this so that I don't have to think about it. The audio sounds now a bit bluish. Oh yeah, of course. But I think we have now enough distance to the lamp so that the audio should have cleared up and shouldn't be as blue as before. Hello Prada, also, by the way. Thanks for dropping by. Oh, Jesus. By the way, I said a lot. I mentioned unicorns many times before and never had a sip of water. So there you go. Okay, so let's do the shading. The first question is something protruding from the surface, or is it depressed in the surface? And I think I will have this ring here be kind of both, so that it looks like, yeah, it's a ring there that's lit from one side and of course shaded on the other side. So what will I do? For one thing is that I will lock here now the transparency so that I can draw the color that we deemed for things that are being lit, which is not too different from what the colors are now. And then, of course, on the other side, I want it to be dark because there it's not shaded like this. By the way, this is, of course, for when it's depressed, because this is the next thing that I'll be doing is I make a new layer. And on top of this layer, I make it just the inverted colors of this, and that it looks like, yeah, it's been an extruded ring that's extruded outwards from the seal itself. And always check here in my lower, on my lower right here, that it looks good there, because if it looks nice here, or it makes sense in a sense where the pixels are in a mathematical sense, but if it doesn't look right, if something looks a little bit too thick, but it isn't as thick, for example, especially with very thin shapes, yeah, you really can't cheat your way around. So you, sorry, this was wrong. So you really have to always look at how it will look in the end at 100% or maybe 200% scaled up at the size. But I think this sounds now very theoretical. I think we will run into this problem sooner or later. Yeah, there are a lot of ways, of course, you can speed things up, like copying things around. But for me, I always like to do things like this manually. That is really placing pixels one by one, individually. So, and now I will combine those two. So now they are on the same layer. Of course, the colors are not entirely done, I think, because I had still the color from before. But this is so far, the biggest problem there is where it changes, the light changes the direction. So you're going from one side to the other. And this is where usually fringes start to lose their yeah, not so much definition, but their sense of how thick they are. You can see it here already, that this side here looks much too thin in comparison to the other. And yeah, this is already, we're here where every pixel counts. Every single pixel counts there. So maybe like this here. Oh no, this looks ugly. You know what? I will start this sooner, this fall off here. It is something like this. Or maybe I even give it the color here of the seal where the transition is essentially happening, where it's parallel to the light source that's coming in, so you won't have neither shadows nor highlights. But for starters, I think this should work somewhat, but as always, I will probably come back to this. This was wrong. Yeah, and we're already in the wonderful process of pushing pixels and see how they fall, and then going back and forth. This should be darker there. Okay, maybe I need a darker color. No, this is already the one to go with. Yeah, I'm not entirely happy, I have to say, but for now, let's say for now it works. Maybe I will keep this ring, remove it entirely in the end, who knows, but for now I think this is just the groundwork is laying. Okay, so next, the real interesting part, right? That is what to do. Is it embossed? I think it should be. It should be extruded, and the parts that are now white are at the same level as the seal base, I think. So yeah, let's try this. I make a completely new layer now and start again there, trying to do the shading like before. But again, I can see now that the horn is, of course, pretty parallel to the light direction. This will probably give me a lot of grief later on, but we will see. So, okay, so this side here is lit, also figuratively. And of course we're coming out here of this depressed part there, so then it should be brighter as well from this side. Sometimes it's a little bit of a mind game of where you think, okay, so where is the light coming from again? Is this correct or not? And yeah, sometimes you really it's really funny how wrong you can be sometimes when it comes to where you think the light is coming from, and then you disable all your helper layers, and then you realize, oh shit, this was completely wrong. So yeah, let's see how things will be going with this one here. I'm just trying to lay out here a very basic sketch, and then I will hide the original layer and just refine there. So okay, I think this might be it for now. And it looks, in the smaller thing here, it looks already bearable, or at least in a sense, it hints at what it is meant to look like. So I will fill out now here the gaps that I have, and always refer back to this thing here, to my reference, of course, to make it as yeah, to give it as much depth as possible. Okay. And disable it again. Okay, so I can see here now some issues here with the main. Again, pretty much the same thing is happening here with the main that I'm having here on this part. So maybe I will need to add another color that's between the light part and the dark part, because it's just too harsh there for this kind of transition. But I try to see how far I can get with as little color changes as possible, at least for now. Okay, so I have no idea what's happening here, so let's get a reference in again. Okay, so yeah, essentially I just need to clean things up there and make sure that there, whenever this white part transitions, that I put in a pixel there of either dark shaded color or the bright one, this bright red here. Okay, let's check it out again. Yes, I think this is coming along nicely, but the biggest problem that I'm having here is with this bottom part here, where the unicorn here gently transforms into pixels, because haha, this was the whole joke of it. But of course, when you're already working with big chunky pixels, this won't work. As you can see here, it's pretty obvious. So you know what, instead of trying to mimic those pixels, I will just keep it as a regular unicorn shape, maybe. Oh, wrong layer or wrong file. So okay, yeah, instead of trying to do those ridges, I just go like this and have it come up here like so. Okay, this works much better. I think this works much better. And then of course we have this shaded part here. And now it's a little bit tentative, I want to say, because you really can't tell if is this part here now supposed to be darker or brighter, or yeah, where is the extrusion actually happening? And like I said, everything that's white is at the same level as the base seal, in a sense. So pretty much this should be on the same level, and everything else should be extruded. So just to make sure, you know what, I will make a new layer out of these ones here and get rid of the white. So this one here, essentially this is our hate map. Now I'm checking how close I am to this. Of course, made those changes down there. What does the title mean when it comes to the brackets? I have no idea what you mean. The title of the video? Oh, and maybe a game, you mean? Yeah, maybe playing a game. It should read probably maybe playing a game. I will change this now. Sorry. Playing a game, because I'm not making a game right now. Thanks for catching. You always catch my mistakes or yeah, typos or anything that I make in my titles. Okay, so yeah, I think I will keep working on this right now and make it a little bit smoother. I think that it reads a bit better there. So I'm just picking up colors there and trying to make it stand out a bit more, like so. Yeah, it's really problematic now that I deemed the light to be coming from the upper left. Because now I try to do some dithering here, which doesn't quite work out, to be frank. But at least it's, so far what I can see, at least here in this lower reference here, it's legible that it's supposed to be a unicorn. At least this works. At least this works. I thought you would make one. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you come to the stream to watch me try to make a game in 2 hours? And now all I'm doing is pixeling my logo. But maybe one day I will try to make a very, very crappy, very small game on a stream. Okay, so I think I will need more colors that go between there. But I think at least for me, it's always important that I get the overall shape done with at least colors, with as little colors as possible. And then I really start to do some kind of, yeah, like I'm doing now, filling in some of those anti-aliasing pixels. But for me, it's always hard where to put them and where to not put them, because you're tempted at each intersection to put a pixel there, but then in the end, of course, as you can see here already, it gets a little bit blurry and muddy, and if you do this too much, it will look like this, essentially, because when you're doing too much anti-aliasing, it just blurs, everything blends together, and it really loses this crispness of pixel art. So yeah, I'm not claiming that I'm doing things here entirely correctly, but I think at least correct enough that it reads as intended. So yeah, I'm doing some dithering here. Not quite sure if this is how it's going to stay at the end. Why did I make this one here bright? I can't understand my reasoning here, but I will think, of course, yeah, probably because we have here this transition from this white part here to the black part, and I don't have enough definition here to make this work. So apparently I just made it dark, but we need to do the same thing that we did before here with the fringe. When something is too small, that you don't have the space to make the lit part of it and the shaded part of it, you have to do both. As you can see here, the problem is now it looks much thicker than it is in the original. And yeah, you kind of have to live with that. I will try now here to do something here with this kind of dithering, but then of course it loses a lot, so yeah. Nope, would have been here anyway. Oh, thank you. Making a game in 2 hours, possible even in 10 minutes, just that the game will be very simple. I think sometimes I really wonder how much I would, or let's put this differently, how little I could polish something and still deem it finished in a sense. Because even if I would make a Pong clone, probably I wouldn't be able to do it because the polishing would get the better of me, I think. Okay, so I think this one here is already coming together, I think. Now that I'm doing this kind of shading there, I think at some point I might even start doing, yeah, maybe make this bright here again, that it looks a bit better. I think this works nicer. Yeah, what I want to say is maybe then I will start adding some highlights. And this is always for me my personal highlight, is adding highlights to something to give it just more depth. So maybe we can try this. Where did I put my palette here? Maybe we can put a highlight here. No, this was the wrong layer, of course. Maybe put a highlight here. Essentially just a reflection of the original light source. So, but the problem with this is you have to very much constrain yourself to not overdoing it, as I'm right now. Yeah, I don't think this is working there with this light source. Maybe it's just too bright. So I pick this red color here and then go here. Something like this. And now I'm squinting, because this is another pro trick, is when you're not sure if something is very obvious or legible in a sense, then I just squeeze my eyes, and if I can still make out what's important and what the overall shape is, then you're good. Or sometimes also you just scale your art down to really a thumbnail size, and then if you can still roughly see where the important things are, or the shapes read well against the background, then you're good. So, and like I said, since I'm a colorist by trade, this is also what I do at work. Sometimes you gotta step back and squint and to see if you're still on the right track. Okay, so this transition here, not quite sure if this is working, but it looks to be that it is. Yes, anything perpendicular else to the light source. Maybe this one here. But again, I'm really trying not to overdo it here with the highlights, but I probably already have. But again, it's just so, it's really helpful how it helps you get some kind of shape across better. But of course, here the horn, if I can show you here, how the base of the horn is way too thick if you compare it to how slender it looks there. Of course, it would still have to have some kind of hair or mane, but yeah, this I never drew, or at least when I realized it, that it's not anatomically correct as far as you can get with a unicorn. I just kept it that way. Okay, I'm trying now to give this more depth here by adding some darker pixels there, and see if it messes things up completely or it makes things more legible. And I don't think it really does. It just or maybe does it? I'm a little bit confused now. Maybe it's just the amount of pixels that I just use for the edge of the shading. Again, it's just the edge you see of the seal, and not the color itself is the same as the base. So if I make everything in this color, for example, yeah, it would look quite wrong, essentially. Or maybe that the light source is reflecting and stuff like this. So yeah, you really, again, it's a little bit stressful actually, because you're always just thinking and maybe overthinking things. Yeah, and I'm always checking back, of course, here with my reference, that I'm just not going in the completely wrong direction. Okay, so I'm not quite sure what this part here actually is, because it's not connecting up to anything there, which means if just to show you, let's make this bigger that you can see it. So if it's a shape that goes like this has to be something. Right now it's just, if it's some kind of bridge there or extrusion, then it also needs to have some sort of lit side like this. So if I'm going to render this very simply, it also needs to have some kind of lit side. But yeah, this is my problem, is that this one is not properly connected up to everything else. And this stems from the fact that if you recall, I said before that I'm not doing those pixels here, and now that the base here doesn't quite work anymore. So what to do? Okay, maybe I make it like this. Sorry, this was too big, of course. I will try to make it like this and fill out the shape in a way like this. but this looks ugly and wrong. And frankly, maybe it wasn't the best decision to have everything that was white to be at the same base, because again, if I show you here, it's too open. This shape is a little bit too open, and this line here is too thin for the resolution that I chose. So I have to get creative in one way or another, because this is simply not working. So maybe I will join up this sooner, perhaps here. But now this also looks wrong. Actually, I'm a little bit at a loss. So let's have a look at the chat and see if anyone already had a solution for my problem here. Squinting might work with games as well. Try to take a step back and explain yourself very shortly what is happening. Yeah, I think you're right. With pretty much everything, trying to get the big picture is always helpful, and I know this from myself, because when you're polishing, it's literally like we're right now. We're in the individual pixels, and you lose the overall feeling for what you're trying to accomplish. Frank writes, to me, the bit in the middle of the head looks wrong. Is that part of the embossed in the wrong direction? The part in the middle, embossed in the wrong direction. You mean this blotch right here? This one here? Let's say A, this one is blotch A, or are you talking about this blotch here, which would be B? Just that I know what you're talking about. Yes, the white was a lightning effect, really, not a level, I think. Okay, so yeah. It doesn't look too bad right now, but again, I need to close this up, and that it still looks like the Pixel Prophecy logo. So, plan B, I cut this off right now. And try to redo the basis, or the base of this emblem again. So maybe like this, and to close it up, maybe like this. So it looks a little bit like before, and not that much like my logo anymore. Yeah, now I'm just sketching. And always checking there on my thumbnail preview if things are going in a direction where I would like it. But maybe it's gotten a little bit better right now, but not as I wanted it. You know what? Maybe I need to imply those pixels, those stepping effect a little bit stronger, like in this thing here, and maybe also here, where I'm really making those harsh steps, like so. Maybe this would work and appear a little bit like my logo, but still keeps this, yeah, embossed effect there. Okay, I will make down those edges there a little bit softer and see if this helps. Yeah, I mean, it looks a little bit better actually. So I think I might keep this. And now there's this, what's it called? A crag, maybe, that's protruding from the base here, which I don't have here. So maybe I can also try to make this work. Yeah, as you can see, again, with pixel art, most of the time you're just moving individual pixels around and hoping for things to fall into place where you need them. This doesn't look right. This looks a little bit better, but still wrong in some way. Maybe it starts too far off on one side. Wonderful, there we go, pixel art. Yeah, if I flatten now this edge here and try to give it some more of this shading effect there, I think this works a little bit better now. Now this one looks too soft. Yeah, man, when everything is a harsh, jagged corner, in a sense, it's really hard to differentiate or to make it appear that something is intended to be a hard corner and something is intended to be a soft corner. But I think the trick is, as you've seen here, if you want to make something appear as a soft corner, you just if this is a corner here, you just leave out a pixel. And if you want to make it hard, you just place the pixel here. And if you want to make it even harder, you double it. As compared to something that's, if you want to make it softer, that it looks like this, and then you shade something here. Of course, yeah, I don't have anything to shade now, but I think you get the point. So yeah, it's very cerebral pixel art, because you have to second guess yourself constantly. Where is the light coming from? How is this supposed to read from this angle or direction? So yeah, make this harder here. No, this looked better before like this. So maybe like this even. Yeah. You know what? I think this is quite nice. Okay, now the problem that I'm having here personally is here with this jaw line. I will try now to simplify it a little bit. That again, it still needs, of course, to read like the original logo, but again, I need to simplify it that it works with those big shapes now of the pixels. But I think this could work. The nostril here is a little bit of a problem zone, I see. But yeah, maybe I can cheat my way around it like this. Yeah, it looks a little bit better. At least it looks a little bit better now. Yeah, I'm not too happy now with how this thing here in the end transitions over, because it's pretty parallel to the light source. Again, the light source is coming from this side here. So we need to, yeah, if this is parallel, then it's not at a 90-degree angle, because at a 90-degree angle it would be white. So yeah, it's, you know what, I keep it at this color there. I said it now. It has to be like this. But it looks wrong. I'm sorry, it looks wrong. It appears wrong. And also this transition here where with this very soft and curved mane here. Man, this is, I draw it now like this, and then see if I can cheat myself around it some way. You know what, maybe I need to give it some more of a, volume, in a sense that it has a rounder edge, that it doesn't taper into this very jaggedy spike. I think you said earlier the lightest color was the lower level of the seal. I wonder if it shouldn't be the highest level. Yeah, of course, it depends. Of course, when you're lighting something and it's supposed to come out of it, of course it has, let's do here, for example, just a little knob that's sticking out. Of course, you want that this part is, you can see it here, it almost works. Maybe not that big. You want, of course, the side that's facing the light is the bright one. But if you're doing it the other way, that it looks like you're depressing something, then of course the light fringe there is on the other side, and the dark part is on where the light is, because of course this is now a shadow. So here in the lower part, I think, I hope I understood your comment correctly. Otherwise, I'm wisecracking about something that everyone already knows and has understood. So yeah, I'm sorry if I got you wrong there. So okay, again, this edge here, now I have to look at it with different eyes. This edge here is dark. This has to be dark, and as soon as it comes parallel to the light, it's invisible, and once it starts to pick up the light, then it gets lighter in a sense. And the same thing should be happening here. So here it's getting parallel to the light source, and then we're moving out of the light again. So this shouldn't be, this should be invisible in a sense, because we don't have enough colors right now. So okay, this is now what my brain told me. And looking at the seal now there, it looks kind of correct even. The problem is that I didn't do this anywhere else. And so it looks like, yeah, it's undecided whether this is now, it's now like a ramp coming down, and this one here, this part here is at the same level as the bottom, or that I'm just missing here something in between. So yeah, I don't know how to go about this right now, but maybe some one of you in the chat, and it's Frank who's still in the chat. Yes, this part is clear. I mean the widest part of the neck and head of the unicorn looks recessed. Really, does it? The widest part of the neck and the unicorn looks... Huh. The problem is with myself is that when you see photos of moon craters, you know, those craters on the surface of planets, I always interpret them as some kind of domes. I don't know why, but my brain just inverts them and it doesn't read for me like craters. And I think maybe this is when I'm drawing things that it looks perfect to me, like this part is depressed and this is extruded, and for other people, of course, it reads completely the opposite. So I'm sorry if this might be the case here, unless I'm misunderstanding the entire image, of course. Yeah, like I said, or it's not you, it could be me. But I think either way, the most important part is that it remains coherent. If you're reading this as depression or as an extrusion, and now I'm taking this light red here and trying to see if I can cheat myself around this, and I think it's working. I think it's working. So whenever something is parallel to the light, and the light, of course, is at a 45-degree angle, which means it looks like this without the things here. So pretty much this should not exist. So, but I emphasized it wherever I found it. So yeah, I think I have to make a call at each time when I see something. Do I want it to read clearer, but the light is not correct? Or do I want it to appear yeah, more correctly, but then it could look maybe wrong? And yeah, it's the hardest part of this is kind of getting it right. How about this? I think this looks like the original shape here. That's just slowly coming, tapering out and coming in this little spike there. And it's not as spiky in this pixel drawing now, but I think it's spiky enough, maybe. Just that it works. Okay, so next I will try here to play a little bit more here with the highlighting. And just squint again. And see if the image gets more muddy or too pronounced, because again, if you emphasize everything, nothing is emphasized. And this is usually what, like I said, that happens easily with me and highlights, that I'm just overemphasizing things just to make sure that they read really well. But for now, I think I'm bordering on it's too much, but I think it still works. Yeah, maybe, you know what, maybe I try here another highlight there. Something like this, perhaps, maybe. Yeah. Okay, so I'm tentatively finished with this part at least. But please let me know what you think, because I'm, like I said, it's I'm not 100% sold on what I did right now here. Maybe the horn looks here wrong a bit, or I did a little bit too much of anti-aliasing there. But now it looks like there's a cut in it. But oh man, this unicorn horn, because it's parallel to the light source. This is really hard. This is really hard. Again, I wanted to read it from the background, but also that it's not overly pronounced. And here we are at pixel pushing. No, this was completely wrong. How many times I can undo things? Yeah, I think this was how it looked before, and it's not perfect, anything but I think it barely works. Okay, those are domes. There are people living there. The creators are a story to cover that up. I knew it. I knew it. By the way, there was this documentary on Netflix where it was, this big conspiracy that NASA is intentionally obfuscating something on the moon, and they made 3D reconstruction and something. It's completely nuts. It's just, it's a wonderfully crazy conspiracy theory, because everything that NASA is covering up, it's just, random shadows. And when you look at it long enough, you can see patterns emerge, such as secret moon bases, and it's how do those things still get made or still get funded? Okay, so overall, like I said, I will maybe make this part here of the ear darker. Maybe, yeah. This I think this works, and I will try now to make this a little bit sharper here. I mean, now we're having this part here that's, like I said, that I wanted to avoid, that I have open parts. But I think for this very specific instance, it works. I think it works. Also here with this light here getting a little bit darker towards the sides. Maybe I can do some more dithering like this, or even a stronger. Like so. I think squinting, I think this works, but then of course I need to do it also here. This was maybe too strong. Don't you love dithering when doing pixel art? Maybe, but now this one is too light. But this one doesn't read as correct. You know what? I think this works now. I think this works now here for this part. This one, of course, doesn't. And now it looks completely wrong. What did I do? Oh, of course, yeah, it was... Sorry, wrong window. Of course, it was this white part here of the ear that I somehow missed. So let's try it. But now, again, it doesn't make any sense. Now it looks wrong even how it was before. I don't know. This has to be dark, but on the other side it has to be light or bright. Oh man. Pixel pushing. Ladies, gentlemen, and unicorns. Pixel pushing. Pixel pushing on unicorns. Dolphin Boy says, hey Phil, don't know if you'll take questions if you're busy, but how did you learn English? Was it later in life or growing up? My English, I'm almost hesitant to say, but I've studied English at least for 2 years. But I learned English in, was it called boarding school or grade school? It was, when you're, I think, at age 6 or 7. This was when school English started, but school English, yeah. But then when I was in what's comparable to high school, I really discovered the internet, of course. And once you're interested in something, but you don't understand it, well, if you're really interested in it, you learn. You make it happen. And once I realized that you can watch, for example, Simpsons episodes in 160 by 120 pixels in real media with like 12 frames a second, horribly compressed, but the audio, you could barely make out the audio. And I thought, man, I really want to see new Simpsons episodes when they are out so that I'm cooler than everyone else. And I think this is how things started when I could download, was it with Napster or something? Or yeah, highly illegal, I think. But this was really, I think, my starting point to taking things seriously. And of course, games, because some games that have more text, you really want to understand what's going on. You sit there with your dictionary, and every second word you have to look up. And then, of course, some words have more meaning, or there's some kind of puns, or hidden meanings, or just play on words, and they completely fly over you. But when you keep exposing yourself to English and English shows and films, and then once there were this wonderful invention that was called DVDs, where you could switch the audio tracks from English to German or even have subtitles. This really sped things up for me. And yeah, and then I thought I could study English because I'm so good in English. And yeah, once you're at the university, and you know my English, it's far from the best. And this is when I really understood, holy shit, I probably will never be able to speak English, not even half perfectly or decently, because there was this one course that was called, it was not linguistics, advanced English systems or something like this. And this was just grammar. And I usually, as far until then, I did things just from my gut feeling. So yeah, this feels like past tense, so I will say it in past tense or something like this. But then they started with grammar and all those Latin terms for grammar. And then it's always the question, okay, so this is an activity that has been going on from the past, but has since been going on and but has been finished at the present. And this is a different grammatical case than something that's still ongoing or that has been going on and stuff like that. So once I started overthinking this, essentially I was overthinking things. And then we had one of the many exams there, and my grades kept just plummeting. But the final exam where I thought, yeah, this is when I will do this is where my academic career on English will depend on, whether I get this test right, because I was having a real good feeling about it, because I noticed every trap there was. I thought, I know what you're doing there. This is a trap. And I really had a good feeling. So I thought it would be a B, maybe, could be an A minus, something along those lines. And then it was an F. It was not even, there was not a single thing that I could talk myself out of, because everything was just so clearly wrong. And I realized probably not going to be an English teacher. But a good thing was that I applied at a university that's here in Salzburg that does this multimedia arts and stuff, where 3D graphics and also a little bit of game development, and it was a much better fit. So I'm sorry now that I've been talking and not pixeling merrily away here on my little seal there, but I hope this answers the question, and I'm sorry for wasting everyone else's time. Sounds tense. Oh yes, it was. Okay, so I think if I'm squinting at it from this perspective, I think if you know that it's supposed to be this logo here, it's supposed to look like this, I think I can get away with how it looks now. So the only thing that I think that I want to do now is to have this the rest of the seal look like it was this big blotch, and this the unicorn was stamped into it. And you know what? I will start here with a perfect circle and then go from there. I want to look at this. Of course, I didn't do it properly and use the eraser tool. No, I just picked the color of the background and used it for everything. So I'm not going to clean this up. So instead, I just pick the same color here, and then in the end, when I'm finished with how it looks, I will separate the individual colors out again. Okay, so let's make a new circle that's hopefully big enough and put it underneath. Now I picked the color G. There we go. Is this too big? Is this too small? I extend here now my canvas to 72 by 72 pixels, so that I have a little bit more space to work with. But this might be a little bit too big now. I'm not quite sure. No, you know what? I think it's fine. Let's get this. This thing looks wrong now. This circle looks completely wrong now for some reason. Yeah, probably because I used a little bit more colors or more shading when I drew it. Okay, so I'm not doing the circle now, like this little extruded ring. Instead, I just make it that the edge of the ring it's like a pizza crust, that it's on top of everything, and then you have the stamp where it's a plain surface, and from this plain surface the emblem rises. Make it a bit bigger maybe. Yeah, like I said, if you when you don't get your dimensions right, you have to redo it. So this is why I cast many attempts here at my circle tool, but I think, you know what, I will shrink it by 1 pixel. Select, there we go, modify, shrink, no, feather, contract by 1 pixel. There we go. I think this is the one I shall go with. And yeah, so this should now be the shaded side here. Like this. And on the outside, of course, I invert my selection now, we have the lit side of the seal. And it's very rough right now, probably. But yeah, you can see here now in my preview. Let me move the swatches away a little. You can see now here in the preview that it looks like it's on the right direction. And you know, I even like it that it's not perfect there, that it looks a little bit blotchy, because yeah, it's wax in a sense. I mean, it's a certain kind of very hard wax, but at one point it was semi-fluid. It was soft in a sense, yeah, that it just man, sorry, I'm trying now to find the right word, as well as trying to do some shading. I mean, at some point it looks like it was not solid. It melted a little bit and gave this wobbly surface. I think this is what I wanted to convey there. Motion. I put an image in Discord of what I mean about the pixels instead of trying to explain it without being able to paint. Oh, let's have a look at Discord then. OBS Studio, there, Discord. Don't switch your audio device. New audio, no, thank you. There we go. Very quick and dirty illustration of what I mean. I changed the internal edges to try to show you instead of try to explain. Okay, I have the image now in Discord, and I will try to put it up on screen there. Cancel, no, preview. There we go. Okay, so now let's see what you changed. Oh, this thing here, you mean? Ah, of course. Yeah, the thing is, the part of the unicorn should be, this one should be higher. Man, I should really zoom in. Ugh, damn it. Yeah, this part, of course, should be extruded, and then we're already in this lake shape, for lack of a better term, where it's at the same level of... no, what did I do? Maybe I should save this. You know what? Maybe let's save what we just created here. But at least it's on YouTube, so I can just trace the pixels should I close it accidentally. I think this is what you mean, but what's throwing you off probably is this part right here from the ear, where there's also this enclosed part here of the ear. So yeah, I'm not claiming it's perfect. And I will probably rework it at some point as well, because this is another thing with pixel art, is that once you think, yeah, it's pretty decent, I like it, it's nice, and then you just look at it and it looks still okay, and the next day you look at it, yeah, you see there's something wrong with it, and so on and so on, and after a week or two you look at it again and think, oh damn it, I really should redo the whole thing. And this is sometimes what I do. Because sometimes I really have these problems where what's happening here. Oh, of course, yeah, right. That I'm having this problem where I'm super satisfied with something, and then just a couple of days later I hate it. But I think this is with everything creative. I would assume so. So at least it's not my perfectionism, I hope. Also, converting a screenshot of a YouTube window back to Pixelart involves counting carefully. Yes, it does. It does. But counting pixels is strangely calming to the soul. I'm also doing pixel art, or used to do pixel art. Well, maybe I will pick it up again. Not just on the screen, but also on an actual canvas, because some of the paintings that you see in my post-mortems, those are all pixeled by hand with oil colors, where I drew a raster image or just a grid of pixels onto a real canvas, and then just counted the pixels and had the reference on my screen, and then mixed the colors and very carefully counted pixels. And more often than not, I would miscount and then had to use the turpentine to get rid of it, and so on and so on. But it's, like I said, it's strangely relaxing because it's just painting by numbers in a sense. But you have to be very careful when you do the counting. But yeah, I can really recommend it, because it's sometimes, if you want to unwind, just put on a podcast and draw pixels, and this is really nice. Okay, so I think I'm happy with how this looks right now here. Maybe even add some more of those intermittent colored pixels there, like this. And as always, check it again here in the preview. Again, you don't want your preview window, of course, to be too big, because then it's not a preview window anymore, but just a second screen where you look at things. But I think it still works. Okay, just some touches there. And now I want to work next step. I want to work there on the outside to give it a little bit of this blotchy feeling there. And then I think we should be almost done with this seal, stamp seal kind of thing. Maybe I make this here even a bit bigger, like this, so that it looks really, this is much higher than what's inside here, so that it really has this kind of depth to it. Which is different from maybe you on the original image, the darker color shows inclined slanted. There's a better word, I'm sure of it. Bits with the lighter color shows off the flat bits, which is different from levels. And I have no idea how to do that in embossed style with a limited palette. I think this is where everything comes down to. Drawing is hard enough, but when you're trying to do pixel art and you're still constrained by the medium itself, things get harder. On one hand, but on the other hand, this is why I really also like working with pixels, is that at a certain point you can't fiddle endlessly and keep subdividing and do even more detail where you would think there would be more detail, because at a certain point you can't get any finer, because at a certain point it's just one pixel there or another pixel there. And this is what I like about pixel art, but again, there are a lot of problems there. And I encourage anyone who wants to start with pixel art to start drawing and shading in traditional media, and then slowly transition to pixels, because everything you've learned from just nature drawing, when you're doing pixel art, everything gets just exaggerated in a sense of what you can or what you have to pull off. But at the same time, you're just solving problems. Like here, in this thing here, you don't have enough colors to make a soft transition. You don't have, would need half a pixel there, but I don't have it. So where should the pixel go? That's next to the closest thing that I wanted to go. And more often than not, it's not the pixel that you're trying to place, but it's one of the surrounding pixels that also contributes to something. And again, the other thing is you don't want it to be overly anti-aliased, because as we've seen, it gets a little bit too blotchy looking. Talking about blotchy looking, I think I like how this shape of this seal wax thing here is coming along. It looks natural, but not too not too lopsided on one side or the other. So I think I can, oh my god, my screen, with my shortcuts, I keep opening my my calculator there because I want to hit minus there on the num block, and on top of it is the calculator icon. Okay, so let's make this a little bit wider here. My 120%. Oh no, this was the wrong dimension. Width 120%. There we go. I really like it that you can keep expanding your canvas when you need to. Because when you draw on paper, man, you get your proportions wrong, and then you have to stick additional paper onto it. Okay, so I will move my palette now to maybe here. And let's do some more shading on the fringes there. Oh, damn it. Oh, I shouldn't have done this. Okay, this works now. The problem I was having right now is that this background part here is on a separate layer, and this part here is also a separate layer. You know what? Maybe I don't need this stray pixel here. And this here is in between. So yeah, this was why I you know what? Maybe I could pull all those layers together, but I really don't dare to. You know what? I make a new layer as I did now on top to do the shading, but we'll use the constrain it to the pixels that are already placed, like so. Okay, so this is what I really like, is just shading. Like this, and always checking here on the lower part if it still looks okay. So maybe something like this, and have it grow darker on the other side. Okay, this is still brighter. There we go. Now this is, I'm just sketching here, not very mindful of where the individual pixels go, just to get, yeah, this overall feeling of where things are. Just an impression that you can squint and see, yeah, it looks right or it doesn't. And right now I'm having a problem here with this typical Photoshop background. So I just put a different color here for the background, maybe just some dark gray here. Layer, new fill, or you know what, I can just do this here. Or maybe make it lighter gray, maybe something like this, so that I can really evaluate how this is reading. Okay, so more activity on the chat. I'm sorry for neglecting the chat. As long as it looks like chocolate, it's fine. maybe you can make it look like chocolate. Maybe you can turn this thing brown and then just say it's a chocolate seal. Why not? Maybe to me on the original image, the darker color shows inclined slant. Oh, of course. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just moved the chat and now I'm reading the old comments. Yeah, I'm completely new to streaming. It's my first day. Bear with me. Bear with me. Okay, so on this side, of course, we also need things to be a little bit darker there. And again, checking here with how things look on my preview window. They still take a little bit time to update, but I think I like how this looks. Maybe this bright part here is a bit too wide and too strong, because it looks a little bit too grainy, or yeah, I think this works better there. Maybe I do it like this and reserve the real brightish red colors for more of the highlights. So something like this here. Maybe. Or is it too much already? I think it is. Back and forth. But overall, I think this is coming along quite well. And it's fun. And I think this is the most important part, that you're still having fun. But sometimes especially you notice when you selected a wrong resolution or a wrong starting resolution, where it's either too big, so you realize you have to draw so many pixels and do so much and spend so much time with chores like dithering, on one hand, this gets frustrating, and on the other hand is when you have too little pixels to work with. And once I made some screenshots from The Walking Dead, the TV series, I just tried to get it done with as little as colors and the smallest size as possible. You know what? I think I can show you some of those if you're interested, of course. But what the hell? Pixelart 2018. Oh no, this is just portrait of myself. Yeah. Maybe I can find it somewhere. But yeah, this was man, this was at some point really bordering on being overly frustrating. But in the end, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Where did I save it? Was this 2016? Let me just check my archive here. Pixelart. Halloween. No. Coffee Bucks. Then it must have been 2015? No. Well, yeah, it could be 2015. Pixelart. Doesn't look like it. But apparently oh right, I remember I once pixeled the angry video game nerd. Here, there you go. 4 colors in my Pixel Prophecy style, but yeah, it's not too good. But yeah, maybe somewhere I can find it, because to me it's like I said, those TV show stills, trying to pixel them to keep the emotion in the actors as well as their likeness present with just like 16 colors, and I think it was 96 pixels wide. You know, I just recalled I put them somewhere on this web page. What was it called? Where you have your pixel art, man. Pixel profile, pixel joint. Yeah, there we go. Pixel joint. Just have to find it, because I'm really proud of it. I really want to show you. There we go. Wasn't too hard. And gallery. There we go. Yeah, let's start here with Herschel. And yeah, it's 15 colors, I think, this one here. So, man, this was really hard, especially here with the concrete at the side. I would have loved to have one more color, but I constrained myself to a certain amount of colors, and you can see here what's happening there with dithering and so on. So I think this one took me like 3 to 4 hours to make, but I'm still happy with how it looks, because the usually when I pick my colors, I just, as you've seen, I did it with this one, I just go into the color picker and pick 1 or 2 colors, and then I'm good. But for this, I constrained myself to using the colors that are in the still frame of the show, and it's already color graded, and yeah, it's very subdued and like this. So yeah, I'm very happy with how this turned out. And I think the hardest one was this here, Glenn and Maggie, because of the shape there of and not the shape, the pattern on the cushion there in the backgrounds. So I think this one was one where I'm the most proud of, because it was just, like I said, pixel pushing where to put the dark spot of the eyes. I mean, here when we're zoomed in like this, it looks completely wrong, right? But once you're zoomed out and look at it at a certain distance, it all comes together. And man, this almost broke me. But yeah, at the end of the day, something came out of it, and I'm still proud of it to this day. So I think it was worth it. Okay, something to be proud of. This ain't yet. Well, it's not that bad. It's not that bad, but I think it's just a little bit too busy here on top with the shading there. So maybe I won't be. It looks a little bit grainy actually, because I was being so sloppy here with my coloring. So maybe this works here, or is this fringe here too bright, or does it extend too much? You really can communicate texture with your highlights, of course, and if they are too sharp, things usually start to look like metal. And this is cool, especially when you're doing a shoot 'em up for a Commodore 64 game, especially if you're Andrew Braybrook, where everything looks like it was made of metal. But on the other hand, when you want to do something more organic or soft looking, it starts to get hard pretty fast. Okay, I think I will keep it like this. Just doing some more cleanups there. Maybe have it here a little bit more on. Does this work, or is it almost too much again? Yeah, it's too much. It's too much. I really want. I like that this has this very sharp appearance there of, like, it's really a sharp edge there that was caused by this stamping. What's it? A stamping iron, or just probably called just a stamp. This is why keyboard shouldn't have such keys. Oh man, I still love the shortcut to my calculator, because more often than not, I just hit once and there it is, and then I need to do some kind of very advanced calculations, such as 2 by 15 or something, because I'm too lazy to spend half a second doing it in my head. This is more or less the resolution of the episodes of The Simpsons you mentioned earlier, I think. Oh yeah, man, the good old days of ripping videos. Man, I think I'm very happy that the real player didn't survive, because the most part that really annoyed me the most with them was not that the resolution was horrible and the frame rate was just abysmal. It was that it was chock full of advertisements, even in the player. And man, the late 90s, I think some of us can recall, everything had this huge bulbous user interfaces with lots of shading. Actually, a lot like this thing here. But as user interfaces, it was just horrible and gaudy and just to show off things. And yeah, even Winamp. I think the Winamp 2 was very toned down, and then came Winamp 3 and even Winamp 5, and it was just, it used too much screen space estate for the function that it had to just play back MP3s. Okay, you know what? I think I call this done right now. And before doing anything, I will save this. Save as projects art Pixelart 2019. Oh, apparently it didn't do any serious Pixelart in 2019. Call this Pixel Prophecy Seal Stamp 01. Preferably without typos and umlauts. There we go. Yeah, been talking for almost 2 hours now, and this is the first time that we saved. The old days of GUIs. Well said. They were GUI. It was terrible. I love the early versions of Winamp. Yeah, the early versions are fine, but I'm talking about Winamp 3, where it was just too big for what it was. I think back then I even made a Winamp skin that looked like a Sony DV recorder. You know what? Let's dig in the archives. I think I can still find this Winamp Sony DV Cam. Was it DV Cam? Skin. Let's see if I can dig this up. Sony Digital Mega Bass. Apparently not. I'm not quite sure if I released it, to be honest. Okay, let's give this one more try. No, I can't find it. Winamp Sony skin. Yeah, it's been way too long since the good old Winamp days, and I think maybe on archive.com you can find it, or archive.org, I think it was. You can find it. Yeah, never mind. But it's still funny that Winamp 2, I kept it until 2008 and never switched MP3 players because why the hell all my plugins run on Winamp? And then I tried out a different player, and that was Fubar 2000. And I recall it when I was living in Berlin and sitting there in a cafe, and it was at the horrible time of my life at a point, and I was also doing moonlighting, doing visual effects for another director, which still owes me money to this day. Never mind. But yeah, I had Maya open, After Effects, Nuke, and Photoshop on my crappy little laptop from 10 years ago, and everything was crashing. But Fubar 2000 kept working its playlist undeterred of anything. Maya was crashing, Photoshop was having issues. I think it all ended in a blue screen. But from this day, I thought, yeah, the memory footprint of Fubar 2000 is such low that that this one will survive anything. It's the cockroach of software. You can put that on your website, Fubar 2000. Okay, sorry, went way off topic, and it's still, we're streaming for 2 hours again, so sorry again for wasting your time. But I think as a seal, this looks nice, and now that I saved it, I will do some more. I can actually combine it and save it as under a new version. And you know what's overkill? That this is done with, I think, 4 colors now, but it's 16-bit. Because we all need the full precision of 16 bits per color channel for 4 colors. Yeah, this could have been done with 2-bit, right? Well, not 2-bit. Maybe we would need 6-bit, or because we also have background color and transparency and stuff like this. But yeah, you get my drift. Okay, so I'm just doing the cleanups there. Otherwise, I think I need to come to an end for today. Otherwise, I would be lose myself in rambling, and give me 1 more hours, and then we are just making a new Winamp skin or a skin for the real player from 1998. Or you know what? We make a new sound scheme for ICQ. Uh-oh. Yeah, I think this looks fine. The only thing that I'm not too happy with is how this horn there protrudes. It doesn't make a lot of sense in terms of perspective, because it should be at the same level as the depressed part of the seal, but it's not. But it's also not cutting into it, and it's even here 1 pixel outside. So maybe I I give it a blotch like this, but yeah, I'm still not quite sure if this works or not. Maybe, you know what, maybe I could try to attempt to say, yeah, this is still cut into this border here, the pizza crust of this seal here. But yeah, it's man, you know what, it works. It works sufficiently enough, at least here in my little preview. It works sufficiently enough, so that is Pixelart. Oh, there's more activity on the chat. It was terrible. Love the early versions of Winamp and the calculator in the file name. Wasn't it something like kicks the llama's ass? Winamp, it really kicks the llama's ass. This has been burned into my brain. I can't recall 90% of what I've learned, even more of what I've learned when I was studying English. But I know the Winamp slogan, or the Winamp, what's it called? Logo song? Yeah, you know what I mean. Signation, the Winamp signation. There you go. Okay, you know what we could do at a later time perhaps? There are those seals that have those kind of ribbons down. Maybe I can just do it very quickly. Let's give this 200 or 300%. Let's just sketch it out quickly, that you know what I mean, but I think you know what I mean. Let's make this bigger. Yeah, that is just some kind of ribbon there. Not like this, but yeah, something like this, to give it an even more royal appearance. But maybe it doesn't need it. I mean, it's still funny if you can put it somewhere as a sticker on your notebook, because I think this is what I will do at a point when I get this made as a sticker. But maybe it still needs something else, like seal of quality, but again, then there wouldn't be enough. There aren't enough pixels to pixel their seal of quality. Maybe I just keep it like that. Yeah, I'm certainly there's still stuff we can do about this, but at this point I'm undecided as where to proceed from here. Yes, so this was apparently Phil Streams making merch. I will change now here the stream name to Phil Streams doing pixel art. Hopefully that's not as misleading. So if anyone is watching there and waiting for me to make some baseball hats, so I'm really sorry. Apparently this is what we did today. 3-bit. I'm not entirely convinced by some of the pixels in the outer edge, especially at the far left on the top right. Oh damn it! I just pulled off the window. Where is it? There it is. No. These pixels here, you mean? Yeah, I'm not quite sure either. Not quite sure either. So I'm not. I've learned from my mistakes that it's not a wise decision to finish something that's done with Pixelart and then send it to Redbubble and order 500 stickers of it, because at the time when they arrive, you will already hate it. So yeah, I'm not quite 100% sold on it myself, to be frank. But I don't think it's interesting for any of you to watch me for an hour or even longer, just pixel pushing and then having a coffee and then coming back to it, pushing pixels some more, redoing all the work that I did or undoing all the work that I did. So I think we're fine. Technically, it should be Phil streamed. Yeah, actually it should. I think I called one of my streams Phil streamed. But then again, it sounds like it's just a cut down of a streaming session. So yeah, I think at this point it's a mute point because I'm almost done now. But yeah, I think for consistency's sake, I will just leave it at Phil streams. Remember taking care of yourself. Downtime is important. Oh, bye, Inkd. Yeah, of course, downtime is important. This was the reason to just come back to it. You know what? I think let's say I'm done with it for today. And thank you so much. And now I will just, now that I'm closing all my horrible random art that I have here, just some closing words that you can all enjoy the rest of your Sunday without me keeping you for too long. There we go. Yeah, about why I was I had to skip last week's stream. Like I mentioned before in the beginning, that I pushed myself a little bit too hard because I wanted to have the Ludum Dare 45 documentary done within 2019, and it just didn't work out. I was working a full-time job as it was at the time now, and then coming home and still trying to get at least 2 hours, if not 4 or sometimes 6 hours in work on the post-mortem, because I really wanted to have it done. And yeah, the product suffered a little bit because everything that I just wanted to just get done, I had to redo again. I think sometimes twice, because there are some 1 or 2 graphics that I'm not happy with, or motion graphics that I will need to do again. So yeah, it was a terrible decision. But again, I was feeling bad that I didn't put out a Ludum Dare postmortem in the entire year of 2019. But yeah, so far it's looking good that it will be done, knocking on wood, sometime at 2020, sometime in 2020. Yeah, that's quite something. Sometime around the end of January, if everything works out. So it's not a lot of things that I need to do, but still something that needs to camera and people having time for doing my silly bits and so on and so forth. And of course, some of the props. Yeah, with that being said, thank you so much for watching. I'll have a last look at the chat. So if you have anything you want to ask me for this week or want to get out, please go ahead. Otherwise, I will end this chat now. Remember, you never actually promised a weekly stream. Yeah, I never actually promised, but I thought it would be a nice routine to get into, and I really like streaming and enjoy streaming. And I'm so grateful that still people show up. Again, I really don't take this for granted that so many of you still come back each Sunday and watch me do my silly thing. So thank you so much. Lady Miss Liv, maybe the seal extends just for the horn. Yeah, maybe this could work. Maybe this could work. Yes. You know what? I will take a look at it tomorrow because right now probably can't see the seal for all the blotches, if that makes any sense. Okay, again, thank you so much. I will have to find now my OBS studio, but apparently we had audio, we had video. It was halfway in sync. I was halfway on time. So all I can say is, again, thank you so much for staying with me and watching all this thing here. And I hope it was interesting to you, or at least you could laugh at my dithering haha over where the light source is coming from and where to put a darker pixel than before. But this is the joy of pixel art. It's never knowing where to put things down. So that being said, unicorn everyone. And to finish the stream, I have to find the window that's sorry, where the stream is going on. There we go. What will be ready in January, the LD45 thing or the seal? Probably the LD45. The post-mortem of Ludum Dare 45 is supposed to be due in January. And about all those merchandise swag is, yeah, it's my downtime. Whenever I need to have a break of something, maybe I push some pixels, maybe I do some vector art in Illustrator, just anything, and then just put it on Redbubble and hope someone stumbles over it and buys a Cyberspace 7 sticker, because this is my top seller there. Okay, thank you so much everyone. See you probably next week. I think so. It's close to Christmas, so I'm not quite sure yet if I can make it or if any one of you can make it. But let's say until next week. Cheers. And where is the end stream? No, this was the wrong button. This was the wrong button. Okay, see you again next week. And again, thanks for bearing with my technical difficulties. Bye.